Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a lost literary world. It's like finding a time capsule filled with poetry from a community that was caught between the home they left behind and a brand new nation that was being born right under their feet.
It really all starts with this one line, written back in 1961 by a poet named Guan Zhenmen. Suddenly, a new order to expel the guests was issued. Just imagine that for a second. You've spent decades building a life, and then a new law comes down that makes you feel like an unwanted guest in the only home you really know. This single line, it just perfectly captures the tension they were all living with.
So, to really get where that anxiety was coming from, we have to go back. We're talking post-World War II Malaya. This was a time of massive change. And for the Chinese migrant community living there, it was a time of trying to find their voice, a way to figure out their place in this new, shifting world.
And here's the wild part. They found that voice through a journal that was published thousands of miles away, in Taiwan. The Chinese Poetry Gallery wasn't just some magazine. For them, it was a lifeline. It became this central hub where this scattered community of poets could get their work published, connect with each other, and, build a shared identity. Now check out the timing on this. The journal's entire lifespan, 1955 to 1967, it perfectly lines up with one of the most chaotic periods in the region's history. You've got Malaya's independence, and then the formation of Malaysia. So the poems that were published in this journal, they became this unintended, real-time diary of a nation in the middle of being born. So what were these poets actually saying about their new country? Well, their feelings were complicated. They were often swinging back and forth between this incredible hope and this deep-seated fear, which you can see in their own words.
On the one hand, you get this amazing optimism. Listen to this poet, Bai Chenggang. He's writing with so much patriotic excitement about the formation of Malaysia. He's imagining a future of multicultural unity, like a new golden age. You can feel a real genuine desire to belong, to be part of this new national project.
But then, get this, in the very same year, the exact same poet writes this: "My sincere crimson heart is an empty boast." He feels like his loyalty doesn't really count, that no matter how committed he is, he's still seen as an outsider. And that contrast, right there, that's everything. It's that push and pull of wanting so badly to belong, but being terrified that you never actually will. And this internal struggle is just laid bare right here. On the left, you've got Liu Zuxia dreaming about a China he'll probably never see again. It's this imagined, perfect past. But then on the right, Guan Zhenmen makes a conscious choice. He's putting his hopes in the future, in being a peaceful citizen in his new reality, in Malaysia. They were literally caught between memory and reality, looking backwards and forwards at the exact same time. So how do you deal with that kind of tension? Well, one way they did it was by grounding themselves in the world right in front of them. They started looking around and writing about the unique beauty of the Malayan landscape. And in doing so, they started to make it their own through their poetry. You can really feel that in this line from Ni Jihan about the Cameron Highlands. This isn't just a clinical description, right? It's personal. The landscape isn't some foreign thing anymore. It's alive. It smiles charmingly. It's like they were inventing a whole new poetic language for their new home. And it wasn't just about grand, sweeping vistas. This poem here, by Mai Baxiang from Cebu and Sarawak, isn't about mountains. It's about people. It's about the small, everyday moments of life. By capturing scenes like this, these poets weren't just watching from the sidelines, they were weaving themselves right into the daily life of their communities. But don't think for a second that these poets were just passively writing about their feelings. Oh no, they were also building this vibrant and incredibly competitive cultural scene. They were proving their worth through just sheer artistic talent.
A huge part of this was a formal competition called Kiti, or theme poems. This was basically the Olympics of poetry. Everybody got the same theme, the same super strict poetic form, the same rhyming rules, and then go. You had to create a masterpiece. It was a real test of pure technical skill and artistic vision.
And this is where you can see, in the data itself, how deeply connected their art was to the real world. That sharp dip for poets from Sarawak between 62 and 63, that tells a story. That was the exact period of intense political fighting and armed conflict over Sarawak joining Malaysia. The real-world violence had a direct, measurable effect on their ability to create art. For them, life and art were completely inseparable. And yet, even with all that going on, their talent was just undeniable. Take the poet Chen Xingying. In one single, super competitive international contest, she didn't just win first place, she also won second and third. That's just a staggering achievement. It shows you the incredible level of skill that was in this community. To put that into perspective, at their absolute peak, poets from the state of Sarawak, a pretty small part of Malaysia, made up over 28% of all the winners in this global competition. They weren't just showing up. For a while there, they were absolutely dominating.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? What can this lost world of poetry really teach us today?
Well, these poems are so much more than just pretty words. They're a time capsule of a community wrestling with its own identity. It's all in there, the hope for a new multicultural country, the deep-seated anxiety of being a minority, that longing for a home they'd lost, the joy of discovering a new one, and, maybe most of all, this incredible resilience shown through just being excellent at their art. Their world was changing fast, and they used this very traditional art form, classical poetry, to make sense of it all, to give voice to their fears and their hopes, and really, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? In our own times of great change, what's the art we're creating? The stories, the music, the pictures that we're using to decide who we are and who we want to become.